Good morning and welcome to the channel. We are back up here at the cottage. It has been a few months since we have been here. I've put in a couple days already. In the previous video we whitewashed some trim that we'll be installing today. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. If you've just stumbled across this video and you don't know where we're at, we've been doing a self-build cottage through the summer. We took a bit of a break through the fall months for different reasons, but we are back up here now. So if you want to go back and check out the build from the beginning, there's a playlist for that. But in today's episode, we'll be installing that whitewashed pine, which looks like this. Pretty basic profile. This is the casing. It just has a chamfer on this one corner. Baseboard is the same. The baseboard's just wider, obviously. So that's what we'll be installing in today's video. Okay, this is all our casing and jambs here. And then over here we have all our baseboards. Again, this has the chamfer on the front edge, but we won't be installing that for a little bit until we know what's happening outside for the condensation issue that we've been having. It should be pretty straightforward. I'll do the window jambs first. The width of the jamb is actually smaller than the jamb extension that they've put on the window. The jamb extension is 3/4 and our material I believe is 5/8. So I either have to shim it all or find a creative solution for that. But we'll figure that out once we get there. I'll prepare the area a little bit. We also did get a new tool for this job, and that is the DeWalt 16 gauge nailer. I do have an 18 gauge, which I usually do use for my trim, my MDF and my finger jointed and everything. But because this is what I would consider true dimensional lumber, in terms of it came from true dimensional lumber, I want to make sure that the gauge of my nail is big enough, thick enough, so it will hold as that wood flexes and expands and contracts a little more than other wood you would use or MDF. And it looks exactly like my other one. Definitely heavier though. So here's my 18 gauge, and then here's the 16 gauge. They look almost identical. You can tell that the magazine, the clip at least, is a little bigger for the bigger nails you can use with the 16. But yeah, it's mostly for the sake of the 16 gauge being a thicker nail, as well as the head being a little bigger as well. So it has a little more holding power for applications such as this. We only have two sizes of windows in this place. There's this size, which I'll cut first, and then there's the larger size, which is over there. I believe there's 3 of each. Yeah, so I'll just double check the other 2, make sure they are the same as well, and then I'll just cut them all at the same time and speed up the process a little bit. Here are my 3 sets for the 3 windows. I can go ahead and assemble them now. One jamb is done. Now time for the next one. And the second one. Okay, I've gone ahead and installed the other jambs for the larger windows, and I've already actually fastened them as well. I'll show you what I did here. I've only put one shim in the center of the window. See my nail holes here? And then I've only put one shim on the vertical pieces. So it is the bare minimum nails that I probably should use, but I'm actually gonna end up spray foaming in between this gap. And I'm gonna do that because, like I said, that jamb extender where these fit into are wider than my actual jamb, so there's some flexibility in there. Make sure that that's tight all the way along instead of creating a continuous shim through the whole rough framing opening. I'm gonna put some spray foam, a small amount, in that gap, have it expand and keep it tight against the jamb extender. Because I want to avoid any shadow line, any gaps, because with this whitewash trim, you'll really notice it if there is any. So I just have these smaller windows to do to shim accordingly. And really I'm just doing it, like I said, bare minimum. So when I do the expanding foam, it doesn't cause my piece to go too wonky, so it is secured somewhat. And then it's also ensured that my jamb doesn't slip forwards or backwards, messing up how I put my casing on. So that's what the few fasteners I am putting on are for. Okay, now that the jambs are all secured, I have some nails holding them in place. I'm gonna go ahead and add some spray foam, mostly to the bottom sill because that's where you'll set stuff on. I just don't want that to bow over time. And again, to kind of keep it secure against that jamb extension is what I'm going for. All the pieces are cut for the windows. Not the doors yet, that will be a tomorrow project. I think the plan of attack I'll use to install these is to assemble them on the floor first, wait for that glue to dry, and then move them up in one piece. Because it is pre-finished, I can't sand those joints down if I am off a little bit on the wall. So I think this will be easier in the long run, even though it might be a little more finicky. The miters look nice and clean, which is good. I just have to make sure they stay tight. So that pulled together nicely and it's staying together. This is the upper side or bottom side of the trim, so you won't see this screw, which is ideal. And that seam is nice and tight and flush. So I'll use that same method for all my miters. It is starting to get pretty dark, so I'll try and get you an update and I'll install these in the next video.